it's interesting to track some of the features of these various covenants that we've seen and see how Daniel's vision is working to bring all the pieces together. And after the great Solomonic downfall, ever since 1 Kings 10:14 and 666, leading to the dismantling and the unraveling of the blessings upon Israel until they're now languishing in Babylonian exile. But not all hope is lost. The covenants are still there, and so God still has His promises. And so how is this? How are the pieces going to be put back together again, and brought to even a greater consummation than any of the earlier recipients ever could have asked or imagined? So let's just look through this chart that I've made. People are going to disagree with this chart. I can imagine theologians I know who would take issue. They'll find there's ways that you can fill in some of these blank spaces and say no, that these features were all there all along in all of these covenants. And I don't disagree with that, but I'm trying to focus here on more on what's you can uh, read the Bible on a surface level, and then you can do more digging and looking for what are some of the hints, and you can link some things together, and you can find some things require a little bit more digging. I'm trying to focus here on what's at the more obvious level. What features do we see in these covenants? And even then, people will disagree with me, and that's fine. You don't have to necessarily buy exactly into this chart to carry on with our main points here. But the Abrahamic covenant, definitely blessed to be a blessing to all the families of the earth. That's one of the key features of the Abrahamic covenant. I will make you into give you offspring like the stars of the sky and the sand of the seashore. That's a key feature of the Abrahamic covenant. The idea of a king or a kingdom or a king, not really coming across. Now, again, this is one of those I put a question mark, and some people will argue because there is in the Abrahamic covenant promises of kings will come forth from you. So okay, you could say kings, plural, are going to come for you. So at least one king for sure. But it's not the focus. When we earlier looked at the uses of the word kingdom, and we saw kingdom only appear. First kingdom is Nimrod's kingdom when he builds Babel. The third time this word actually appears is, first time it appears with direct reference to Israel is in Exodus 19, the Sinai covenant. So I've got a star down there. But it's not, the kingdom structure of the Abrahamic blessings isn't really something that's coming through, nor is the idea that this is going to be forever. Now, you could find ways to say that that's implicit, but certainly the language of foreverness is not emphasized. You could at least on a surface level say, well, God's going to bless Abraham and make his name great and bless all the nations through him. That could be, there is such a thing as temporal blessings, right? And so it's not necessarily forever. And you could do some more digging and say the foreverness is implied there, but doesn't come through on an obvious layer to me. Now, land is definitely a big part of some of the repetitions of the Abrahamic blessings. I'm going to give your descendants a land to possess. The Sinai covenant, given at Exodus 19. Now you're going to be definitely a kingdom. You're going to be a kingdom, a holy nation. What kind of a kingdom? A kingdom of priests. So the idea of blessing the families of the earth is inherent in there in the phrase kingdom of priests. The notion of foreverness, again, you could argue that it's implied in some ways, but to me it doesn't really come through forcefully. Now there's going to be a kingdom. You're going to be a kingdom of priests, but there's no idea of a chief king. And okay, you could argue with me that I just said that kingdoms have kings. But so okay, you could put an implied question mark in here, but the focus on some king leading this kingdom is not there. Just you plural, the whole nation is going to be a kingdom of priests. How about land? It's not emphasized in Exodus 19 itself, although it did come up in the Passover when God said, at first God is just saying to Pharaoh, let my people go. It's a temporary thing. Let them go into the wilderness and offer these sacrifices. That's all I'm asking. The more that Pharaoh hardened his heart, God eventually says, okay, I'm just going to take these people out completely and give them their own land and the land of milk and honey where they can worship and serve me permanently. And so that is there for sure in Exodus, and definitely the Mosaic covenant as a whole has a land promise. But I put it in brackets because we're kind of been focusing on Exodus 19:6, and that verse itself doesn't particularly have a land. There's a nation, you'll be a holy nation, but that has more to do with the people. This is thing we'll come back to later. You can be a people without a land, kind of like the diaspora of Jews later on. They're still a people. They're still a distinct people, but scattered. The Davidic covenant in 2 Samuel 7 actually the major gap, if you will, of the features we're looking at there is it's not really emphasized that this kingdom is going to be for the benefit of all the families of the earth. In fact, if we look at the Davidic kingdom, it's kind of bit what's the word, antagonistic. As it looks at the surrounding nations, it's like, those are your enemies. I'm going to protect you from them. So look at the Davidic covenant in 2 Samuel 7. I have been with you wherever you went and have cut you off from all of your enemies from before you. I will make you a great name like the great ones of the earth. I will appoint a place for my people Israel and plant them that they may dwell in their own place and not be disturbed. I'm going to give my people Israel, I'm going to give them their kingdom land. Definitely the land is in there, so that's why we check this off. I'm going to give you a kingdom and a land where the people can feel safe, not be disturbed. Disturbed by what? Violent men shall afflict them no more. From that time I appointed judges over my people Israel, and I will give you rest from all your enemies. You could come away with this saying that the Davidic covenant that is about being protected from your enemies, and some of those enemies, of course, David had internal civil war strife. Saul tried to kill him, then his own son tried to kill him and overrule his dad's authority. Plenty of internal strife, but also they're still battling with the Philistines and the surrounding nations. So you could come away from the Davidic covenant saying there's not really a focus on being a blessing to all the nations of the earth. And I just wonder if that's part of where Samuel may have gone wrong and dropped the ball with Queen of Sheba. If Solomon, as the physical son of David, is looking at, if he's focused in on the Davidic covenant and saying, hey, this is about Israel being protected from his enemies, and there's not really an explicit focus on you're blessed to be a blessing to the nations of the earth. Maybe he was too myopically focused on the Davidic covenant, seeing himself as the son of David, and lost sight of the vision to be a blessing to all the nations. Although, somewhat ironically, actually one of the best connections linking the Davidic covenant to the Abrahamic covenant is Psalm 72:17. This one we looked at earlier. Psalm of Solomon. Solomon himself wrote this. And Solomon is the one who said, may his name, he's talking about the king himself, give the king your justice, O God. May his name endure forever. May his fame continue as long as the sun. May people be blessed in him. All nations call him blessed. May people be blessed in him. Now, certainly the nations called him blessed. The Queen of Sheba came and said, blessed are you, blessed are your servants. So certainly, the nations called him blessed, but also may people be blessed in him. That's the Abrahamic covenant. You will be, where's Genesis 12:3? I will bless those and bless you. I will curse those who curse you. In you, all the families of the earth shall be blessed. And now Now Solomon is saying, in him may peoples be blessed. So Solomon himself is kind of the best link to this in his words, not in his actions. Again, sharp contrast between the two. And then Daniel's vision comes along and really hits a home run on a lot of these features. Is Daniel's the vision of this eternal kingdom, and that's the point, is it is an eternal kingdom. So we've definitely got the forever aspect and the kingdom. Oh, I didn't finish talking about the Davidic covenant. Let me just go through that real quick. Is there going to be a peoples? Yes, the Davidic covenant takes for granted that Israel is a nation. Kingdom is the whole point. It's a forever kingdom. That word appears 3 times. Your son will sit on the throne, and he will be a king forever. So an eternal king, definitely explicit there. And then the land, we just saw that, is made explicit in the Davidic covenant. But then in Daniel's vision, now we've got an eternal kingdom. Definitely the focus is that's the whole point. Where's Daniel? Let's do Daniel 7. It's the interpretation of the vision. It's a kingdom that lasts forever and ever, so it's definitely a kingdom. It has an eternal king, the one who comes in the clouds of heaven. He's ancient of days, not just eternal future, but in fact he's connected to this ancient of days of eternal past. But his dominion is everlasting. His kingdom shall not be destroyed. So it's a eternal king. We're checking off eternal king. We're checking off forever. It's a kingdom, a domain that shows up over and over again. Kingdom, domain, kingdom, domain. He's got his people. We saw the correlation between the Son of Man and the saints of the Most High. In fact, we're flipsy-flopsing between the Son of Man being given a dominion and a kingdom versus the interpretation says that the saints of the Most High shall receive a kingdom that passes forever and ever. So there's definitely a nation of peoples here, and in fact they're interchangeable with their representative head, who is the king, who is the Son of Man. And it's not just localized to, maybe those saints are Israel or some subset thereof. You could certainly think that in Daniel's context, but it's for the benefit. It certainly is incorporating the whole earth. Several times we have in here, all the peoples, nations, and languages should serve him. This language is picked up on in Revelation 5 and 7. Every tongue and tribe and nation is being brought into this kingdom and enjoying the blessedness of the eternal king that and the kingdom that never passes away. The kingdom and the dominion and the greatness of the kingdoms under the whole heaven shall be given to the people of the saints of the Most High, the holy ones of the Most High. His kingdom shall be an everlasting kingdom, and his domain, all domains shall serve and obey him. The whole earth is a global. Daniel definitely has a global vision. This is not just one localized kingdom. Again, remember Daniel, one of the points of Daniel 2 and Daniel 7 is that these other kingdoms that you're seeing in the world, these worldly kingdoms like Rome and Greece and Babylon, are temporary. They're going to break down, and the kingdom that's going to come is going to last forever. This is not just one localized, at least ultimately, it's not just one localized kingdom amongst many other kingdoms. This is the globalized kingdom that it endures forever, because all the other kingdoms are passing away. This is the only one that's left. All the dominions will serve this kingdom. All peoples, nations, languages of the earth will serve this king and belong to the holy ones of the Most High. So Daniel's really, now land, is there a land promise in Daniel? I don't see it so much in Daniel 7, and that's actually interesting. There's not a focus on land, and it makes sense when I mean, in some sense, the land is the whole world, right? Because all at this point, all peoples, all languages, all dominions, all nations are being brought into this kingdom and serving this Son of Man king. So in some sense, the land is the whole world, but there's not the land focus like we saw in the Abrahamic covenant of a certain promised land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the land that was given to uh, David, that David and Solomon ruled over in their dominion. There is mention of the land of Israel in Daniel, so I put it in brackets. Daniel 9, for example. Daniel's reading the book of Jeremiah, and he's seeing that this exile is going to last 70 years, and then the desolations of Jerusalem will come to an end. And he prays, Lord, let the destruction of Jerusalem come to an end. We've gotten what we deserved. We deserved every bit of the judgment that we faced, but show mercy, Lord, and let do not delay for your own sake, oh my God, because your city and your people are called by your name. He's looking for a restoration of the great city of Zion and Jerusalem. So Daniel's kind of bringing to a climax. Again, Solomon kind of dropped the ball here as far as all of the blessings had accumulated on the golden platter in his lap, and then only thing left to do was to share this feast with the families of the earth and fulfill the Abrahamic covenant. Solomon dropped the ball here. The Daniel's vision definitely hones in and focuses. Okay, we've got this eternal kingdom with an eternal king, and it's going to be for all of the peoples and nations of the earth. So Daniel's vision is bringing to consummation, bringing to fulfillment all of the hopes that preceded it, correcting some of the gap and saying we're not going to make the Solomon mistake. Again, this kingdom to come is for the blessing of the whole world.